Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Today, we're diving into something that could really change how you think about securing your financial future, especially for those of you looking to create a lasting legacy.
Hmm.
For your family, we're talking about building a solid wealth preservation strategy
Right.
with a gold IRA as a key component.
Absolutely.
And if you stick with us to the end,
Yeah.
we'll even point you to a free checklist
Yes.
over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive that can help you choose the right company for your needs.
That's right. We'll unpack why gold has been a reliable store of value for centuries, its unique tax advantages, and how it can play a crucial role in multi-generational wealth planning.
And the best part is we're not just talking about individual investments here.
Right.
We're going to explore the idea of a family constitution, a formal document that acts like a financial roadmap for your family's future.
Interesting.
Have you ever considered creating something like that to guide your family's wealth across generations?
Many people haven't, but it's a powerful tool for establishing clear rules for wealth distribution, aligning financial decisions with your family's core values, and preventing potential disputes among heirs down the line.
I find that idea of aligning financial decisions with family values particularly fascinating. It's not just about the money. It's about ensuring your wealth reflects what your family truly cares about.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, how does a gold IRA fit into that bigger picture?
That's a great question. You see, a gold IRA can be a powerful tool for supporting those long-term family goals. It offers diversification, acting differently than traditional stocks and bonds, and thus helping reduce your overall portfolio risks.
Yeah.
It provides long-term security, as gold has historically held its value even during times of economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the tax advantages, which are especially attractive for multi-generational planning.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my interest with those tax advantages.
Good.
Break it down for us. Why are they so important for passing wealth down to future generations?
Absolutely. So first off, with a gold IRA, you benefit from tax-deferred growth. This means your investments grow without being taxed till you withdraw the funds, allowing your wealth to compound more effectively over time. Think of it as a snowball effect for your savings.
So the longer it sits, the bigger it gets, and the less you lose to taxes along the way.
Exactly. Then there are the unique benefits of a Roth Gold IRA with a Roth distributions are actually tax-free for your heirs, which can be a game changer, especially if they'll be in a higher tax bracket later in life.
Wow.
And lastly, there's the potential for minimizing estate taxes. Gold IRAs can be structured to reduce the taxable value of your estate, ensuring more of your hard-earned wealth is passed on to your loved ones.
Wow, those are some serious advantages for anyone thinking about their family's financial future.
They certainly are, and when you combine those advantages with the framework of a family constitution, you create a powerful synergy that can safeguard your wealth for generations to come.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of the family constitution, it seems like clarity is key, especially when dealing with something as potentially complex as a gold IRA.
Right.
What are some of the key elements to include in this financial roadmap?
That's a crucial point. You want to be as specific and transparent as possible to avoid any confusion or disagreements down the road.
Sure.
For starters, you'll want to address governance, who makes the decisions about the gold IRA. Is it a family member, a trusted advisor, or perhaps a designated trustee?
So you're essentially setting up a system of checks and balances to ensure the gold IRA is managed responsibly and according to the family's wishes.
Precisely, then you'll need to establish clear investment guidelines.
Okay.
Are there rules for allocation rebalancing or other actions to keep the strategy on track and aligned with your family's long-term goals?
I imagine this is where you'd spell out things like how much of the portfolio should be in gold, how often it should be rebalanced, and what criteria should trigger any changes to the investment strategy.
Exactly. It's all about creating a clear framework that everyone understands and agrees to.
Okay.
And finally, you'll need to address succession planning.
Right.
How will the gold IRA be passed on to future generations? Are there specific beneficiaries named?
Right. You don't want to leave anything to chance when it comes to inheritance. I remember you mentioning something called transfer on death designations earlier. Can you explain how those work and why they might be beneficial in this context?
Of course, a transfer on death designation, or TOD for short, is a simple yet powerful tool that allows you to designate a beneficiary who will directly inherit your gold IRA assets upon your passing.
So it bypasses the complexities of probate and ensures a smooth and efficient transfer of wealth.
Exactly. And that's why incorporating TOD designations into your family constitution can simplify the inheritance process and minimize potential delays or disputes among heirs. It really does streamline things. And speaking of streamlining, we've talked a lot about the why behind including a gold IRA in your family constitution, but let's recap the core benefits for those who might be joining us mid-dive.
Great idea. Sometimes it helps to have that concise summary.
Absolutely. So, as we touched on earlier, one of the primary benefits is inflation protection. Gold has this incredible history of rising in value when the cost of living goes up. This helps safeguard your purchasing power over time, which is crucial for long-term wealth preservation.
That makes perfect sense. It's like a built-in shield against the erosion of your savings.
Precisely then, there's the aspect of crisis resilience. Unlike paper assets, which can be vulnerable to market fluctuations and even become worthless in extreme scenarios, gold possesses intrinsic value. It's a tangible asset with a history of reliability that dates back millennia.
Okay, I'm starting to understand why gold has been considered a safe haven asset for so long. It's like having a piece of history that holds its value regardless of what's happening in the world.
That's a great way to put it. And then, of course, there's the simplified wealth transfer we discussed earlier. Gold IRAs offer a smooth, tax-efficient way to pass wealth down to future generations, especially when combined with those TOD designations.
I'm curious, though, we focused a lot on the benefits of gold, but are there any potential drawbacks or risks associated with gold IRAs that people should be aware of?
That's an important question, and it's always wise to consider both sides of the coin. One thing to keep in mind is that gold doesn't generate dividends or interest, like some other investments. Its value is primarily tied to its price fluctuations.
So it's not necessarily a growth asset in the traditional sense.
Exactly. It's more of a preservation asset, a way to protect your wealth from losses, rather than aggressively grow it. However, this can also be seen as a strength, especially during periods of economic uncertainty when preserving capital becomes paramount.
That makes sense. It's like having an anchor in your portfolio that helps stabilize it during stormy seas.
That's a great analogy. Another point to consider is that the price of gold can be volatile in the short term, while it tends to hold its value over the long run. It can experience fluctuations in response to market events or investor sentiment.
So it's not a set it and forget it type of investment you might need to have a higher risk tolerance if you're considering adding gold to your portfolio.
That's true. It's important to have a long-term perspective and not panic if you see short-term dips in the price.
Okay, so we've covered the benefits and some potential drawbacks. Let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, a gold IRA could make sense for my family, but where do I even start? What would you advise?
The first step is always education. There are some excellent resources available online like goldirablueprint.com/exclusive, for example. They have a ton of valuable information and even a free checklist that can help you navigate the process of setting up a gold IRA.
That sounds like a great starting point.
Mhm.
What kind of information should people be looking for as they do their research?
You'll want to understand the different types of gold IRAs available, traditional versus Roth, for example, and the tax implications of each. It's also important to learn about the rules and regulations surrounding gold IRAs as they differ slightly from traditional IRAs.
Right, because it's not like you can just stash some gold coins under your mattress and call it a day, Red.
Ha ha ha, no, not quite. There are specific IRS guidelines that need to be followed. And speaking of guidelines, choosing a reputable and knowledgeable custodian to hold your gold is absolutely essential.
A custodian, what role do they play in the gold IRA process?
A custodian is a financial institution, typically a bank or trust company, that's responsible for holding and safeguarding your physical gold.
So they're like the vault where your gold is kept safe and secure.
Exactly. You can't just hold it yourself. It has to be with an approved custodian. And working with a reputable custodian ensures that your investment is properly protected and managed according to IRS regulations.
That makes sense. It sounds like finding the right custodian is a critical step in setting up a gold IRA.
Absolutely. And that's where resources like the Gold IRA Blueprint can be incredibly helpful. They can connect you with reputable custodians who have a proven track record of expertise and reliability.
Great tip. So you found a custodian, you've chosen the type of gold IRA that aligns with your goals. What happens next?
Then comes the exciting part, funding your Gold IRA. This can typically be done through a rollover from an existing IRA or 401k or by making direct contributions.
So you can either move existing retirement funds into the gold IRA or start fresh with new contributions.
Exactly. And here's where working with a financial advisor who understands gold IRAs can be incredibly valuable. They can guide you on the best approach based on your individual circumstances, risk tolerance, and long-term goals.
It sounds like having a knowledgeable advisor in your corner can make the whole process much smoother and less intimidating.
Absolutely. They can help you navigate the complexities, answer your questions, and ensure that your gold IRA is properly integrated into your overall financial plan.
Okay, we've been talking a lot about long-term goals and multi-generational planning, but I'm picturing someone listening who might be closer to retirement. Would a gold IRA still be relevant for them, or is it more of a strategy for younger folks with a longer time horizon?
That's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes. A gold IRA can be a valuable tool for managing risk in a retirement portfolio regardless of your age.
Really, even for those nearing retirement?
Absolutely. In fact, it can be especially beneficial for retirees who are looking to protect their hard-earned savings from market volatility and potential economic downturns. Remember, gold tends to perform well when other assets are struggling. So having a portion of your retirement savings allocated to gold can act as a buffer during those uncertain times.
So it's almost like an insurance policy for your retirement portfolio.
That's a great way to put it. It adds a layer of diversification and stability that can help you sleep better at night, knowing that a portion of your wealth is shielded from potential market storms.
Okay, so we've established that gold IRAs can be beneficial for both younger investors looking to build long-term wealth and those approaching retirement seeking to preserve their savings. But this raises another important question for me. How much of your portfolio should be allocated to gold? Is there a magic number or percentage that everyone should aim for?
That's a question that often comes up, and unfortunately, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The ideal allocation for you will depend on several factors, including your individual risk tolerance, investment goals, overall financial situation, and time horizon.
So what's a good starting point for someone who's trying to figure out their ideal gold allocation? Where should they begin their research?
I always recommend having a conversation with a qualified financial advisor who understands gold IRAs and can help you tailor a strategy based on your unique needs and circumstances. They can assess your risk tolerance, analyze your existing portfolio, and determine an allocation that aligns with your long-term goals.
That makes sense. It's always best to get personalized advice from a professional who can see the bigger picture.
Exactly. And remember, diversification is key to any successful investment strategy. Gold should be seen as one component of a well-balanced portfolio, not the entire portfolio itself.
Okay, so it's about finding that sweet spot that provides the right balance of risk and reward.
Precisely. And remember, the goal is to create a portfolio that helps you achieve your financial goals while providing peace of mind knowing that your wealth is strategically protected.
You know, as we've been talking about gold IRAs and this idea of a family constitution, it strikes me that there's a really interesting psychological element at play here.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about the financial strategy, it's also about the message you're sending to your family.
That's a really insightful observation. I completely agree. When you take the time to create a family constitution and incorporate something like a gold IRA into the plan, you're essentially saying,
Yeah.
we've thought about your future, we care about your well-being, and we've taken steps to protect your inheritance.
It's like you're creating a tangible expression of your love and concern for future generations.
Precisely. It goes beyond just passing down wealth. It's about passing down values, wisdom, and a sense of security. And, sometimes that intangible aspect can be just as valuable as the financial assets themselves.
I love that perspective. And speaking of valuable assets, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the concept of gold having intrinsic value.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean, and why is it so important in the context of wealth preservation, especially for a family's long-term legacy?
That's a key point. When we talk about intrinsic value, we're referring to something that has inherent worth regardless of its current market price. Gold has possessed this quality for thousands of years. It's a finite resource with practical applications in industry and technology.
Right.
Unlike paper money, which can be printed endlessly and lose its value through inflation, gold has a tangible inherent worth that transcends economic cycles.
So even if the stock market crashes or the dollar experiences significant inflation, gold still holds value because it's gold. It's a physical element with a history that spans civilizations.
Exactly. It's a hedge against systemic risk, a safeguard against those unforeseen events that can shake the foundations of the financial system. And this is where generational thinking comes in. You might feel comfortable with a certain level of risk in your own portfolio, but do you want to pass that same level of risk onto your children and grandchildren?
That's a thought-provoking question. It's like you might enjoy the thrill of a roller coaster, but you probably wouldn't want to put your grandkids on that same ride without some serious consideration.
That's a fantastic analogy. A gold IRA, as part of a well-structured family constitution, can provide that sense of stability and security for future generations. It's a way of saying, we've built this wealth and we've taken steps to protect it, not just for ourselves, but for you as well.
It's a powerful legacy to leave. It's not just about the money itself, it's about the values and foresight it represents.
Absolutely. It demonstrates a commitment to long-term thinking, responsible stewardship, and a deep care for the well-being of your family for generations to come.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the benefits of gold IRAs, the importance of a family constitution, and how these two concepts can work together to create a powerful wealth preservation strategy. But before we wrap up, I want to address one final question that I'm sure is on many of our listeners' minds. If someone is listening to this and thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but where do I go from here? How do I actually get started with setting up a gold IRA and creating a family constitution? What advice would you give them?
That's a great question. And it's the perfect place to end our deep dive today. The first step, as we mentioned earlier, is education. Take the time to learn about gold IRAs, how they work, and their potential benefits. And when you're ready to start exploring your options, I highly recommend checking out goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
That's a great resource. They have a fantastic free checklist available that can guide you through the process of choosing the right gold IRA company, understanding the different types of gold IRAs, and connecting with knowledgeable advisors who can help you tailor a strategy that meets your specific needs.
Exactly. It's a great starting point for anyone who's serious about taking control of their financial future and building a lasting legacy for their family.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of the Deep Dive. Remember, knowledge is power. And we're here to help you navigate the complex world of finance and wealth preservation.
Until next time, keep those questions coming and keep exploring your options. There's always more to learn.
Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to visit goldirablueprint.com/exclusive for that free checklist that can help you get started on your journey toward financial security and building a legacy that lasts. We'll see you next time on